Hey everyone, it's PK here. I had a client call yesterday evening with a friend of mine, well, a client of mine, but a friend of mine, and we were talking about the property clock. And he was just asking about the property clock, so I thought I'd just repeat basically what I said to him on this live. So the property clock is where people say that every 5 years or 7 years or 10 years or 14 years or 21 years, the property market goes in a circle. So it takes some time to increase in value, and then when it hits the top, where it hits 12 o'clock, then it reduces in value, and when it comes to sort of 3 a.m., it starts to bottom out towards 6 a.m., and then it starts to increase again and goes in a circle. So the idea that people espouse is that you want to buy at about 9 o'clock, or just before 9. There's so many people out there getting you to invest in a particular region or particular area because it's at a particular spot in the property clock. It's just about to boom, or it's in the recovery phase or anything like this. But really, that doesn't exist, regardless of whether you subscribe to the property clock being over 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever the case may be. And a really good way to demonstrate this is just look at Sydney. So before the last boom, it shot up around 2002, 2003. And since 2003, it was basically flat on average. The entire city was flat on average for about 10 years. And then it went up again sort of towards the end of 2012. We all know that it sort of went up for about 3 or 4 years. And then it started to soften out again. And then before coronavirus, it started to go up again. And then coronavirus came and it started to soften again. So that's not very circular. That's kind of long, flat periods, a bit of ups, a bit of downs. Let's take Cairns. So Cairns prices on average are basically the same as what they were back in 2008. So you can buy, in the south part of Cairns, you can buy a 4-bedroom house for about $350,000 to $450,000. That's basically what they were selling at, more than a decade ago. So that's just been flat. There hasn't been a property clock which has increased in 7 years, 5 years, 10 years, and sort of done the circular motion. It hasn't happened. So I don't know about other markets outside of Australia, but certainly in Australia, it's data, it's local government area factors, it's employment, it's incomes, it's jobs, at the long term that impact property prices. In the short term, there's a whole host of very scientific data factors, more than 25 factors that you need to consider to actually pick growth. So the property clock, if you're sort of subscribing to the theory of a property clock, that's a very high risk way of investing your hard-earned money, because there is no property clock. In 2017, when Sydney prices started to level out and started to fall, that was not because of supply and demand factors, but rather that was an artificial intervention by the banks, by APRA. And so they came in and artificially stopped investor lending. If that didn't happen, then the market would most likely have continued to simmer away and boil and continue to increase very steadily. So how does the property clock anticipate these, you could say, external measures? How would the property clock anticipate, let's say, a market has already boomed, it's done already really well, it's at 12 o'clock, but then the local council or the local state government or the city council announces a huge infrastructure project which genuinely creates hundreds of jobs or thousands of jobs. That property cycle wouldn't then bust. It would continue to do well. In fact, this is the case in a place called Burnie in Tasmania, where over the last 5 years you've seen amazing growth, and now they've just announced a new infrastructure project that's going to create 3,000 jobs. So it's already had a fantastic 4 years. Is it all of a sudden going to drop off now? Really unlikely, right? There's a huge infrastructure project. More important than the dollars spent on the infrastructure project, it's actually going to create more than 3,000 jobs. That's huge for a place like Burnie, where the overall population is less than 100,000. Okay, so hopefully just by giving you some of those data points, some of those examples, that's helped your understanding that the property clock is predominantly a tactic or a way that marketers or people trying to sell property in a particular area, wrap up the marketing or the sales of what they're trying to sell to novice property investors. And hopefully by watching this video, and I'll do more as well in the future, you can understand that the property clock really doesn't exist. It may exist in other areas of the world, but in Australia, certainly at the city level, there is no consistent every 7 years this happens, or every 10 years this happens, or every 12 years this happens. That doesn't exist. If there was a property clock, then everyone would just buy at about 7 or 8 o'clock and everyone would sell at about 12 o'clock. But it doesn't happen like that. So that's why most property investors in Australia are unsuccessful property investors. They actually don't make much money in property. They don't get past 1 or 2 properties. That's not that they're they've done it wrong or they're not intelligent. It's unfortunately, there's a lot of things that you need to see through to actually become a sophisticated property investor. It's not a case of just following the property clock. So hopefully that added some value. If it did, if you're watching right now or if you're watching on the replay, please give me a like or comment below your thoughts, so I can just see who's been watching it and what you guys think. Otherwise, I hope that was really valuable, and yeah, feel free to comment below if you want to chat about it further, or just DM me and we can chat about it further as well. Always love to talk property, but take this key takeaway out. There is no property clock that's reliable, that you can trust with accuracy to be able to invest your hard-earned money in a safe and predictable way, right? The property clock is not the way to go. You need to look at data, not opinion. Okay, thanks. My name's PK. Talk to you soon. Bye.